Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Community Preservation Committee meeting, August 3rd, Monday, August 3rd. I call the meeting to order at 7:05. Okay. Let me just kind of set a stage for the anticipation, I think, for the meeting tonight. So we wanted to make sure if we got any additional information, we could go over that tonight. I have a list of still outstanding items and comments. I think for our next meeting, this will kind of be the list of what we need to make sure to get done before we can actually make a decision on, you know, what we're moving forward on potentially for the fall or what's gonna go for the spring. So, I went back through the last couple meetings and did a pretty comprehensive list of some of the things, comments that were made, things we were still waiting on. And obviously, you know, people can add to this list as we go, but this is just a general start, just so the applicants know what needs to get done or what information we're still looking for before the next meeting. So, that being said, we're gonna switch the order up a little bit based on some of the things I think may take longer and may not. So I know Bill Cundiff is here, so why don't we bring Tony and Bill over? And when they're here, just, I don't know, are they over, Katie? There we go. Hi Tony, how are you tonight?
Hi Lisa, hi everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
Nope, that's okay, and Bill's here as well. So Tony, based on our last meeting and the questions and comments, if you guys could just give us any new information, you know, that's been updated, and then we'll go through the list of what I have as outstanding, so when we have our next meeting, hopefully we can get the applications finalized. So I give you and Bill the floor.
A few of them.
Okay, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Hold on one second, Bill, we're just gonna turn it up just a little bit. Hold on one second. All right, try again.
Can you hear me okay?
Is that better? That's better, yep.
Okay. So since we
Perfect.
last met, you may recall we had a price estimate, a preliminary price estimate. The committee asked us to go back to the consultant and make sure that that amount was adequate. So what we did was we had them review the scope, review the schedule, review any outstanding permitting requirements. They did all of that. They reviewed the scope and the permitting requirements. They did an estimate for a schedule, and they're looking at about all said and done, we're looking at about 4 or 5 months, I think, from start to finish. The biggest lag is contractor availability and the schedule, which he has 9 to 24 months, which I'd be shocked if we have to fit it in for that long, but that's what he says. And then lastly, the price estimate, he did refine the scope and the price, and of course, it's been years since he did the prior analysis, and his cost estimate is a total of $970,475. So I took that information from the consultant and I handed it off to the golf committee, Tony, and they followed through with completion of the application.
Okay, thank you. I'm just double checking to make sure. So Tony, the 970 one basically that Bill's talking to, you've already updated the application with that amount, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And the reviewed scope, is that also included in the application, or is there an attachment that we need to make for that reviewed scope, Bill?
I didn't see the final application. I assume Tony included it along with the budget.
Yeah, that was one of the attached files, Lisa,
Got
that
it.
had the scope.
Okay. And it was actually, I think, the 970 was also in Bill's letter from 6/10/26. So, now that I'm looking at that. So, okay. So, There were some outstanding items. I'm gonna go through these, what I have, and then we'll go down to some of the members. I think, hopefully I've encompassed some of the things that everybody was looking for and when I went back. So, and again, these are comments, questions, concerns. It all kind of fits into one. We have been talking about a sunset clause. This project, the initial project for this, I believe it was 12/31/26 is when the sunset clause comes into effect on this. So, regardless of what we have to do, whether we go forward with this project or even if we put it off until the spring for whatever reason, we're still going to need to adjust the sunset clause at fall town meeting. Do you want to add anything to that?
Just that the committee will be changing the language so it can, similar to the contingency funding, that it can be extended with permission of the CPC with a request if, if it's extenuating circumstances.
Perfect, okay.
But not like, right now it's a drop dead date and we
Yep.
never envisioned that you would be dealing with it, so.
Thank you. So yeah, so if we, for whatever reason, again, if this gets put off to annual, at the very least, we can change the language in the sunset and make it easier going forward. There was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, so even if the project for whatever reason did go to annual, we would still try to make that change at the fall town meeting?
Yeah.
Or would do both together in the spring?
No, you have to do it in the fall
Have to do it in
because the
the fall.
553,000 in funding will
Runs out.
run out.
Okay.
It'll come back to
Okay.
CPA. That's in the warrant article itself.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else on the sunset clause? Okay. Seeing none. Also, Bill, I know you weren't at the last meeting. One of the things we had talked about was the $100,000 from the revolving fund. So, I know, Grant, you had a question or a concern on this, that you were hoping that it would be more. One of the things I did go back to, and the members can do as well, is to Bill's letter on 6/10. He did touch on some of the things they're looking to do and some of the things that they've done that are going to be coming out of or have already came out of funds. So, I don't know, Tony, if you guys have a more concrete 2-year, 5-year, whatever plan, so the committee has an idea of, that you have allocated all the funds and future funds as well, to some degree.
Yeah, I think I would say to some degree. I mean, we could provide an estimate that shows how the future funds may be used. So I could put together a summary of that if you guys would like. So I can take that action on if you'd like.
Yeah, so just future capital items, obviously. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, you have things forthcoming, but I think it would be good when we finalize the discussion on the 100,000 and Grant, you can jump in, I'm not trying to speak for you, but, just so the committee has an idea of what you're looking for use of the future revolving funds. And Grant, go ahead, jump right in. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. At the last meeting, I believe I asked this, Tony. You had said that you have more than 100,000. I can't remember exactly the number that you have, and that you mentioned in the fund currently, and that you have some funds that are dedicated to other purposes for other kind of active projects, and that you had the 100,000. But it seemed to me that, and I could have misunderstood, but it seemed to me that there was some extra kind of balance between the 100K and the amount in the fund. And so just my point of view is I'd be looking to see, if possible, to maximize as much as possible the contribution from the revolving fund. So I get that you guys have other projects that are, maybe funds are dedicated to or something like that, but if there's any funds that are not dedicated to other projects, I'd prefer to see as much as possible come to this project.
Okay, so how about if I create a 3-year summary, the next 3 years, 27, 28, 29, of how those funds might be used? Does that sound reasonable?
That'd be great.
I
That would be
will do that in the next week or two.
Hi, it's Kristen. Can I just throw in on top of that, could you kind of gauge priority in the sense of, what are must-haves, what are nice-to-haves? Because, like Grant, it's just kind of like, obviously we have limited funds, the town within CP, A funding, so like, are some of those assets something that we can possibly put off in order to push this project forward? So again, just some sense of, and that may not even be possible, some of them might be just, they all have to be done, but if you could give us some sort of sense of that.
I understand the request, so I will try to do that.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else on,
Thank you.
add or anything on that? Okay,
Can I
great.
ask one?
Oh, I'm sorry, Freddie, go ahead, absolutely, go ahead.
Just, and I'm not sure, I think it was Bill mentioned at one of the meetings that if it was possible, not necessarily desirable, but to go to annual town meeting, and if so, how does that play into the revolving funds? Because I know the money comes in at different time schedules throughout the year based on play, I assume. And I think some of the funds we were talking about were based on earlier income, not necessarily what's going through the whole season. So if that can be represented as well, like how much money will be available at different points in time if it makes a difference.
I understand, Freddie.
Okay. All right, number 3 was SVT. I know, Bill, in your letter from the 10th, you said that you'd be happy to follow up with Sudbury Valley trustees to confirm the position. And I would really be interested in having that done, especially seeing as the project, it seems to differ a little bit from what was originally approved. Under permitting, on the quote, it talks about the scope of work will include revisiting the current Concom approved erosion and control plans and proposing a less costly approach to include more limited erosion controls and boring under the stream. So I don't know if SVT knew that this was part of the plan and with the pumps, so I'd really like to have some level of confirmation from them, Bill, that they are on board, seeing as they are the holder.
Will do.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody want to add question or add anything to that? Okay,
No.
that's number 3. Next is kind of falling into the same line with conservation, with the limited erosion control and boring. I don't know if you guys have had conversations with Concom about that and also with the pumps. I just want to make sure everybody's on board, because the last thing any of us want is to be blindsided at town meeting, with a question and hear that Concom, hasn't signed off or Concom's not on board. I know they were initially with the original, but now that the scope has changed a little bit, I'd like to just, know that Concom's on board.
Will do.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that, everybody? Okay. Again, we're all trying to cover the bases here. I know one of the questions in the last meeting was who pays the water bill? Did we ever get an answer on that? Unless you gave it and I missed it.
No, so I have not tracked that down. So
Okay.
I will do that. So I will do that.
Okay, and what I'll do, Tony, is after we go through all this, I have it in a list. I will shoot it to you in an email as well. So,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome. Any other questions or comments on the water bill? Okay, seeing none. We had talked about the funding cap on the 75,000. This is just a comment. This was something I was gonna look into and I haven't done it yet. So, but again, I'm keeping it on the list as something outstanding. So, and Freddie, if you wanna jump in on any of these things, sorry. But I'm not
Yeah, I
sitting
know.
next to you, so just flag me down here.
Right.
So, any questions or comments on that until I get back with an answer? Seeing none, okay. Grant, you had asked for the 1225 feasibility study to be added to the application. I know, Tony, we haven't updated, you haven't done a final update on the application, but I just wanna make sure that that's on your list. And Grant, if you wanna speak to that or add anything to that, please do.
Yeah, no, I know that it's been sent to us previously, and I appreciate that, but just in terms of, I think we'd like the application to include all the relevant documents, like in one spot, kind of, if possible, so that would be great. And then I think I had a couple of other items, which I think you noted, Tony, last time about open projects, noting that, noting that in the application about the Audubon International, and I think it was maybe, there's the checkbox in the report, which maybe if you could add a page or something saying that you acknowledge the
Yep.
I get the
Yeah,
checkbox.
that's what, that's what I told you, the checkbox just did not work.
Yeah, but maybe if you're adding a page or something, you can, just add the account. I know, minor stuff, but that way the application's complete.
Okay, anything,
Thanks.
anyone else on the feasibility study?
Can I jump in, because it was
Yep.
brought up, the
Go ahead.
Audubon International, there's the expectation that we will have a consultant hired and working on the management plan before this goes to town meeting, hopefully before you finalize it, and that they will be part of looking at the whole plan as was in the existing funding for the original irrigation project and continuing on. And that is something that, working with the golf course committee, and it is being written up an RFP, which I had expected last week, but it will hopefully be done tomorrow, and then we'll be reviewing it and putting it out there to consultants with the golf course committee's review and approval.
Okay, thank you, that was on my list, so I'll take that one off. And Grant, I also did adding the Audubon as a add-on to the application. I had that as well, so this is great.
Thank you.
One of the things we had talked about was the maintenance. And I think, Ellen, you were the one that asked about maintenance. And Tony, you said some of the smaller things would be done by the management company and the larger things would be done by the town. Is there any way, I'd like to see some type of documentation on the management as far as what if a sprinkler head breaks and we say, golf course committee says, that's under the management company, and the management company says, no, it's not. So for me, and Ellen, I'll let you speak to this as well, I'd like to see some level of, it doesn't have to be anything too formal, but just enough that we can put with the application, what the expectation is as far as who's responsible for smaller maintenance and larger maintenance. And then I'll go to Ellen, I'll let you follow up and add anything. I don't mean to speak for you as well.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think that suggestion makes sense. Also in line with understanding the kind of big asks that are coming on the revolving funds. I don't know if any of the maintenance pieces are handled through that, so I think, that would be helpful to see if there is a chunk of the revolving fund that you have set aside for this type of unexpected but relatively routine maintenance, or if that's all covered by the management company. Just kind of understanding kind of what different pockets of money and whose responsibility that is.
That makes total sense. Anybody else on the maintenance plans?
Lisa, it's Claire.
Sure, go ahead, Claire.
I'm
Educated.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
You
fine.
go down the
No,
line
go
there.
ahead, you're fine.
Sorry, my camera isn't working for some reason, but, and I'm not a golfer and I haven't really been following all these. My question is, has there not been a maintenance plan like all along?
Well, that's not a question I could answer, Bill or Tony, if you'd like to.
The best I can tell you, and I've only been here a few years, I've seen the contract that the management company has, and they have some level of obligation for maintaining just normal operations. So if it's part of the normal operations, I would expect it would fall under them. Of course, I'd want to check the contract with the management company. Tony might have better info than I would.
Right, so that what Lisa gave is a good example of a sprinkler. I don't know if sprinkler heads break, but if something bizarre happens, does that come out of then the revolving fund if it's not covered under the management company?
There are certainly, as Bill just described, many maintenance tasks that the management company takes care of, every year, every summer, every month, every day. There are a lot of things around the course that they do. Without taking money from the revolving fund, there are between 2 and 5 larger projects or maintenance activities that get funded every year from the revolving fund. Though, when there are bigger things to do, rebuilding a tee box, rebuilding a sand trap, putting in, paving a cart path, there are bigger things that the revolving fund has been paying for, is used to pay for, and there have been many projects like that over the last, my time on the golf committee over the last 3 or 4 years. I will specifically answer the question of what kind of new irrigation system maintenance projects the management company can tap. You know, so when the new irrigation system is installed, what kind of maintenance things can they do without requesting more money from the revolving fund? So I will answer that question for sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Katie?
So I was just wondering if updating the shed is on your plans, because I know, having worked with Melissa, that we're already like out of compliance for Audubon Society certification, because the shed there's a lot of issues there.
Yeah.
So is that in the near future of something that we could put on your plan, and is that something you'd be coming to CPC for? Would that fall into the bucket? What are your thoughts?
So there's been a lot of discussion about the shed over the last few years, with or without the Audubon topic. There are many issues with that shed, regardless of Audubon. And so there is more discussion these days about, well, maybe it's time to do something. I know Mark Purple's been looking into this as well. I haven't asked many questions about this recently. I will put that on my list of things to try to understand where that might fall. My impression is that I won't say anything. I don't know how Mark is thinking that might be covered. So let me just talk to Mark and get his current thinking about that.
Yeah, that would be great, and that's a good point, Katie. I will put in the Dropbox for everybody for the next meeting, the report that Audubon International did back in 2019 that listed some of these things, so you can see what Katie was referencing. So I'll put that in the Dropbox for everybody for the next meeting as well.
I'll just jump in that Audubon International certification is a process, and we're in the phase of hiring a consultant to do the management plan. And it's not that everything has to be done right away. You work towards it. So that is certainly something that would be required before you got the final certification. But it doesn't mean you don't keep working towards it with all the other management items that are required in the meantime. And that's what we're hoping to, the golf course committee and this consultant are hoping to get moving forward now.
Okay.
So with that process, would they give us time to come into compliance with things like that?
Yes.
Good,
yes.
bad, or ugly,
Yeah, I
like
know.
the farm dump process was not a comfortable process. I just don't want to see us getting into something like that again. So if there's some room as far as like, take your time to fix the shed as it goes, and then as soon as it's done, instead of like, you have 1 year to do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, they've been very, as Tony knows, they've been very willing to work with the community to keep us engaged in a process that has started and stopped, and they keep us, engaged and part of the program. So there was never a deadline. The real requirement is, one, first of all, the town wants to get it in the best shape it can, and two is, you don't get your certification, you're working towards it, and that's a goal to have, and you're not going to get it with it in the condition it was. And I believe they've been making improvements since that report was done. So it's not you have 1 year to get it done. There's no expectation like that, or 2 years or 3 years. It's the town now knows, from that meeting, and I'm sure they knew aside from that there's things that need to be fixed there.
And I think that's a good point, Katie, as we look to invest another $400,000 or more, into a project there. It's good to know that the issues, how they're going to be dealt with, maybe not today, but what the plan is for them. So that's a good point, very good point. Okay, that's what I have for golf. So we'll go down the line. We'll see if anybody wants to add anything else. We'll start with Ellen.
Nope, everything was covered, thank you.
I like that. All right, Katie.
All set, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. I have a couple. So I think I might have asked this last meeting, but maybe I'm not sure if you weren't sure, we're going to look into it, but I have a question about, it's not really maintenance related, but more operational cost related. The application says that making installing a new system will make it more operationally efficient and presumably cost efficient to operate. And I have a question about who is benefiting from the cost savings, whether or not does that reduce the town's expenses directly, or is that really the golf the golf management company who benefits from that. And I don't know if that's a question for Bill or not, but just a question of essentially those operational cost savings, who, who's that savings for?
Yeah, just for clarity, so everyone realizes, it had been requested for this project to facilitate the contract in design and installation of the facility. Beyond that, my extensive knowledge with the golf course is very minimal.
Okay, thank you.
So,
yeah.
let me try to answer that, Grant. So the town contracted with a management company to run the golf course. Assumptions were made by both the town and the management company about what the condition of the golf course was going to be and what it was going to cost to operate, right? Costs that the management company bears. I think the management company would argue that their costs are higher now than they expected because it's so hard to operate the irrigation system. And so the town isn't directly seeing any of those expenses because it's sort of baked into the management company contract. I think this means that once the new irrigation system is installed, it'll be easier for the management company to operate. So it should be less expensive for them to operate. And that'll factor into how a contract will be negotiated next time round between the town and a management company for operating the course. At that point in time, it'll be slightly easier to operate the course. And so maybe you'd argue that there'd be a better business relationship that could be established from the town's point of view. Because it'll be easier for the management company, whoever that is, to operate the course. So, does that make sense? I mean, it's sort of subtle, but I think that's how this works.
No, that's helpful. I appreciate that. Just because I'm not really familiar with kind of the intricacies of the contract. So, yeah, that is helpful. Thanks. Let's see. This one I think might be, well, I'll just put the question out there. It might be for you, Bill, if you choose to answer it. In one of the reports that you sent along, I saw that the water supply pipe was being upgraded from, maybe it was 2 inches to 4 inches. And I was curious just about the need for that. You can talk about what's driving that change and kind of how that affects the need for maybe, is that what's driving the need for the booster station or kind of other things related to that?
So the current irrigation system does have a smaller diameter service line that comes off of Ladisquama Road. There's a direct connection to the main, and it goes through a meter pit, and then it goes into the system. The pressure that drives the current system is below what is considered adequate according to our consultant. Many of the sprinkler heads on the existing system would not function, would fail actually, if we came in with a higher pressure system, particularly with the booster pump. So connecting to the main line with a larger diameter pipe and adding the booster pump will mandate, sprinkler heads that have a higher tolerance and basically cover a larger area than the current system. So it's the combination of making the system more efficient. You can reduce the number of sprinkler heads and get more area of coverage, but the existing system wouldn't properly operate, and the proposed system wouldn't properly operate on the existing pressure without the addition of the booster pump. So the existing system would fail operating with higher pressure loads. So I don't know if that answers your question, Grant?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks. And I think related to that, so in the budget there was $4,025 times 159, and so that would be for 159 are all the new sprinkler heads as required. Is that right? Is that the cost of each of those?
159 times $4,000 each. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's sprinkler heads. That might be, that can't be linear feet of pipe. I'm not sure what that aggregate number represents. presents.
Okay.
I can follow up with our consultant about that if you want.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have the document up. It was, yeah, it says base irrigation system cost, and then it says
It says
irrigation
159.
system, 159 at 4,025 for the kind of
I
branch.
can't
outlets.
imagine, I don't believe they're gonna have 159 sprinkler heads.
Okay. Yeah, so if you can follow up on that, that'd be interesting for me. And then, thanks for that. And then,
I will say, Bill, I sort of think it is sprinkler heads, but you can go off and confirm.
okay. Thank you. I mean, that was just my assumption, but I guess it would be good to say 159 sprinkler heads if that's the case. And I think the only other thing for me is thank you. I think it was probably you, Tony, who sent along the old application with the map in it. Is there going to be an updated, or do you have an updated map with the new kind of features of the booster station and that in map form, or are you kind of still going off of the old schematic and just?
I am not aware of an updated map reflecting with the new design, frankly, with the booster pump, so I'm not aware. Bill, do you know, is there a map, a current map of what the new system might look like? There was a map from 2 years ago, but I don't think, it's not clear to me it will be exactly the same as the system would be next year.
The existing map that you're referring to does not have a booster pump station, so it would be a modified map of what we currently have, adding in the connection to the new connection, the lattice squama, the booster pump station, and reducing the amount of erosion controls.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I guess maybe that's a question for the committee of whether or not we'd like an updated map as part of the application. I don't know if that's something that we could get, but does anyone else have thoughts on that?
I think we should have it as part of the application. I mean, obviously it was great because Tony was able to go back to the prior application. So the more completeness we have, I think makes a lot of sense for anybody going forward that may have a question. So Bill, if there's any way to get the updated map, that would be great.
Yeah, that's not possible. You'll notice in the cost estimate, there's $16,000 that are slated as part of these funds to make those changes
Oh, I see.
to the current set of drawings.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. And that's it for me.
So Grant, would it be suffice then if we don't have the map to just get something on paper? Bill, have somebody just say what the changes specifically are to the map? And then after down the road, we can actually add the map back in. Again, my
Sure.
fear is always not having a complete package that somebody's gonna scramble at some point in the future and say, well, did they get a new map, didn't they get a new map, why isn't it with the application? So, I mean, I think, Grant, again, this was your request. Are you fine with getting something in writing at least to put in the application?
Yeah, that'd be great if possible to annotate the existing image or have an attachment or something with it. That'd be great.
Okay. And then Grant, just so I'm clear, on the operational costs on the energy efficient, were you good on that? Or is that something I'm still keeping on the list? About who benefits from the savings? Do you still want that to stay on the outstanding list? Or are you good?
I think I'm good on that, unless anyone else is interested
Okay.
in it, but
No.
I think I'm good.
Again, I just want to make sure that I'm giving complete to Tony.
Yeah.
And then the need for the change in the pipe size, are you good with that question?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last, I will add the follow-up with the 159 at the 4,025. I will add that as well. Okay.
Great.
Next up,
Thank you.
Claire, do you have anything further you'd like to see or comment you'd like to make?
No, I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Kristen?
Yes, and I apologize everyone, I'm in the car, I hope we will be a computer shortly here. Quick question, going back to the beginning of the discussion, Bill gave an update and I believe mentioned that the numbers were revisited recently because it had been a year or so, and that a new number had been presented to the golf course committee. If I have that correct, can you just remind me like what the difference in that number is, and then also when does the golf committee meet? What do you expect what decisions are being made there? I guess I'm just trying to understand where they are in the process.
I'm going to defer to Tony on that. I can't recall what the original estimate was. I think it was actually over $1 million. So this is actually slightly under that dollar amount. The estimate we went with originally, now when I say that, I mean after the first application, we got bids in, and then we knew of some general design improvements. We were guesstimating about $1 million. So we came in below that. I think the original grant amount was somewhere in the order of $750 or thereabouts off the top of my head.
Kristen, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great news. And so I guess what would be the decision points when deciding whether or not, and I know part of it's this list that we're talking about, but from a golf course committee perspective, as far as you know, are they still intending to go in the fall, or are they waiting more for us? I'm just trying to understand that a little bit more.
So let me jump in here on that, Kristen. So the goal of tonight was to put a comprehensive last list, if you will. There'll always be new things added and questions. It was to put together a list, which we've now gone through. We've made sure we covered our bases so that the golf committee has an opportunity to basically complete the application, I think, with a lot of these things. And at our next meeting, we'll review it, and I think we'll discuss at the next meeting what our intentions are as far as if we think we're in a good enough place to move it to fall town meeting, or if there's more work to be done, and to bring it forth to annual. And again, you know, we set a deadline of August 30th, and now we've kind of swayed a little bit off that. And I think, again, I don't want to push things. We always end up behind the 8 ball, and I really don't want to do that. And I think that was one of the questions Freddie asked at the beginning was putting it to the fall, I'm sorry, in the annual. Did you ask Bill that question?
Earlier in the discussion,
Right. Yes, today.
that was in relation to, would that make a difference in how much revolving fund monies would be available, because they keep coming in over time, and I don't know if the first original was before they had all of the summer play in, but I mentioned that Bill had mentioned that at one time. It was early on, I think.
So,
Yeah.
so maybe that's,
But Lisa, I appreciate that. Let me better phrase my question. I think maybe I should have put it, is there anything else other than what CPC is asking for that would influence the golf committee, or you know, is everybody fully, are there any other factors other than the CPC list that would, you know, cause the committee to consider not putting forward this fall? Or are all the dependencies what we're discussing tonight? Does that make sense?
I don't think we've, and again, Krista, maybe I'm not understanding you correctly, but I don't think we've taken a position on whether, you know, we're moving this to the fall, or even moving this application forward.
Yeah, I was meaning more from the golf course
Oh, okay.
committee's perspective.
Okay.
When they meet, you know, is it really just reviewing, or are there any other discussion items that would influence this outside of what we're discussing tonight as part of the CPC requirements?
Tony, that's to you.
The golf committee wants to proceed with this project. It's the top priority project for the golf course. It has been for several years now. That's why we pushed this so hard 2 years ago. The golf committee wants to proceed.
All right, great, thank you. No, that's all I have, Lisa, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Freddie. Did you have anything further to add? Okay, so I think we have a punch list going forward to our next meeting. We'll decide on the date, hopefully before we leave today. You know, we'll have enough time, and we'll get a date to you, Tony, to let you know. It'd be great if we could get the information 4 to 5 days in advance of the meeting, so everyone has time to review everything, and we can go from there. I don't know, Tony, do you have any vacations coming up, you or Bill, that we need to be aware of as we look to set the next meeting?
I am at your disposal.
Okay.
Likewise.
Okay. Awesome, gentlemen. Is there anything further you'd like to add? Seeing nothing.
Nope.
All right, thank you both so much for coming. We appreciate it, and we'll let you know in the next meeting, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to wrap things up and, you know, move forward from there.
Thank you all for your consideration here. Lots of good questions. Thank you.
Awesome, Tony,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so that's that. I'm just gonna give a quick update before we move on. So Grant, just so you know, I spoke to Kevin today. I don't know if he had a chance to talk to you. So I just wanted
He
to
did, yeah.
share, and you can certainly jump in as well, Grant. I just wanted to share a little bit of the conversation I had with Kevin regarding we had left the water tower restoration on here. So in talking to Kevin, he had met with the cemetery committee about the columbarium. Am I saying that right, Grant?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Phew!
Good job.
Okay, that's a mouthful. So, there is no interest from them on pursuing that. So, and I think Grant, you had mentioned that briefly at the last meeting as well. So, Kevin has reached back out to the consultants, you know, we were looking to get the report done, as well as he was gonna do the bid documents. He's extremely busy, obviously it's months later, and this is his busy time. So, he would need at least a month to try to put something together, and that's not saying we'd have numbers or anything by town meeting. So, again, this is just Kevin and I having a conversation. We talked about it, I think it's more important to do it right than to rush, where this is such a historic piece for the town. So that was kind of where we left it, that we want to utilize the opportunity, even if it doesn't potentially get done until next year. Again, it could be a focal point of the tricentennial, you know, as work is going on there as well. So there's a lot of pluses and upsides to this as well. But at this point, it looks like there's really no way to meet our deadlines, you know, to get concrete numbers to be able to go to town meeting with prior to town meeting. So again, the historical commission will meet and discuss that, but at this point, from Kevin's perspective, it doesn't look like it's a fall item for us. So Grant, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so I did talk to Kevin briefly before this meeting. Thank you for, that's a great summary. Yeah, so I'll just reiterate the Historical Commission's interest in the project, and I fully expect that we will be, you know, resubmitting in the fall. The only other thing I have, and this is more of a question for the committee, is so I'm excited that the kind of report is getting off the ground, or it will be, and you know, we're kind of moving forward with that. I went back, or actually Kevin sent me the Historical Commission memo to the select board of what will be in that report, and I thought it might be useful to just share that aloud here, and just get maybe any feedback about anything else that CPC is looking for to be in that report before it actually starts, now that we know that it will be happening. If that sounds good?
Yep.
Okay, so there are essentially 4 bullet items. This was, again, just what Historical told the select board that why they were seeking the money. One is to provide a comprehensive documentation of the tower's roof, masonry, and wooden elements. Second is to establish historically accurate standards for the restoration of all 3. The third is to produce an invitation to bid, or produce invitation to bid documents. And fourth is to outline a schedule for periodic maintenance as required by CPC standards. So those are the 4 things that we told the select board we would be using the money for. But I just wanted to share that with, now that, you know, it does seem like it's going forward and all that. Just wanted to share that with CPC, and I guess get any feedback of anything else that you guys think should be in the report that we missed. Just, you know, I can't guarantee that we could include it, but you know, it'd be nice for us to instead of go back and forth to know that now.
Okay, Grant, would you mind forwarding the memo, seeing as it was now referenced, it has to be in
Yes.
documents for the meeting. You don't have to
Is
put
that
it up on the
just the-
screen, if you could just forward
Yeah.
it, I'll make sure it goes to the Dropbox too, so.
Sure.
We'll go down the line. Ellen, anything else you'd like to see?
I don't think so, I think that's a good list, thank you.
Katie?
I agree.
Kristen? Okay. Is she still there?
She's still on mute though.
Okay, Kristen, you're muted. Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just pulled in, so I did happen, I have no questions for Grant.
Okay, thank you. Claire?
I'm good.
All right, then, I have nothing ready.
Grant, can you say the last bullet, how did you phrase that?
Yeah, I'll just share a screen. It's easier actually. Just give me 1 sec. just so you can see them all. Can you see that?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, this was the historical memo to select board from November, just so you know. So the bullets are here.
Okay.
So that was for you, Freddie. Outline a schedule for periodic maintenance as required by CPC standards.
Okay. I had
And you have
one,
to,
I had one other question. I don't know if it would be appropriate for this, what you're thinking of doing, but as the committee has discussed, that wanting a conservation restriction, preservation restriction on this historical project and an application to Mass Historical. Is there any way that some of this documentation could be in line with filling out those applications with the consultant or whoever's doing this work, contractor? Is a historical
okay.
contractor, would he have knowledge of those types of things and be able to help provide the historical commission with those applications and those types of requirements for preservation?
That's actually a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I can ask, yeah, I'll forward that to Kevin and see if we can, yeah, I'm not, I know that the person who will be doing the report is a historic architect and historic construction, that kind of thing. But I don't know, he puts together his application, that kind of thing. So I will just note, besides that, that I have spoken to Kevin about both of those items, and I think both of those would be, when the application gets resubmitted, a conversation with the CBC. But yeah, I can definitely ask Kevin about that.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, perfect. And, okay.
Thanks,
Then-
everyone.
Sorry, was there anything else, Grant? Did I cut you off
Nope,
by
that's it.
accident?
No, just thinking.
Okay, perfect. Do we have Kat here?
Mhm.
Why don't we bring Kat over, and I will, Kat, I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning of the meeting, but I'll kind of give you a kind of a overview. I'm gonna see if there's anything new that you'd like to add, and then I have a list of outstanding items, comments, questions, or concerns. And we'll go through those as well. So as we prepare for the next meeting, hopefully we'll have, everything that we need to move forward. So, you have the floor. Is there anything new you would like to add?
Yes, so I sent over, you should have it in an email and I can share screens if that's easier, an updated application for some of our discussion last time. So which is easier, for me to share or for you to share?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, so, can I ask though, Kat, for our next meeting, it's hard to kind of go through this during the meeting, so if, like I said to Bill, if like 4 or 5 days before for the next meeting, any new information we could have, that would be great. So.
Yeah, thank you. Share.
So are you gonna go through the whole application or just what you've changed?
Just what I've changed.
Okay.
Can you confirm you're seeing the screen?
Yes.
Yep, all set.
Okay, great. So basically what we did was, based on discussion from last time, one of the most significant changes would be adding $40,000 for a construction phase administrative costs. That would be to suffice, to satisfy the project management request. So we don't have a quote on that yet, but I have an estimate. So I've added the $40,000 to the final cost. So the new cost, as you see on the screen, is, oh, you don't see that on the screen. That's not done.
Yeah, I think on the old version.
Hold on, sorry. Sorry, okay. All right, the new cost is $471,828, and that's the addition of the $40,000. And what I also did was the 20% contingency, I calculated it only on the cost of the construction, not on the cost of the consultant. So it won't be a straight 20% based on that cost. The total cost is based on only the construction cost, and I made a note of that, and I'll take you through that. Okay. Okay. So No changes here. Let's see, no changes in here, significant. In this section on page 5, I basically just retallied these numbers, the application requested approval, so that it reflects the new numbers, the new 40,000 additional, so this structure did not change. This is what does that make sense? This section.
Just
You have something? Okay. All right, keep going, Kat.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so in this section, as a result of what I tried to do, I just added one thing here, because this section, as a result of starting here, just shares that, you know, what was done and what is being done, so how the project scope has changed. The only thing I added here was that the paving, striping, and signs for the parking area were completed with other funding, because that's important for the narrative. Okay. So then I'm scrolling down. This section did not change, except for the project cost had to change, and the additional funding request is now 215 versus 178, and that's because of the project manager costs. Okay, I'm scrolling down, nothing changed here, nothing changed in the community section of the community support. The budget, so there was a question about making it more clear how the cost of the bridge and related components were calculated, because we're using the bid received from December's bidding process. So these 3 paragraphs, this is an expansion to help describe why we use the bid. The 65% was based on the cost breakdown provided by the bidder. And the reason we can't go after another quote is because of the conflict of interest it would cause, and we had such a high high interest rate. So this might be something I think I want the committee to look at, to make sure it's just written in an appropriate way that works for you. And then I changed the budget to make it clear. Obviously, I just added this line here. Basically, bridge construction estimate is based on 65% to make it clearer in this table, and then I added the construction phase services of 40,000, and then I wrote the contingency of 20% of construction-related costs only, to make that clear. And then I updated the timeline just to be clearer. So basically, I put the footnote on both of the tables, so made sure the heading was there on both tables, and just made sure that the timeline, so basically the first one is CPA with Mass Trails grant funding, has this additional step of a contracting phase.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Can you promote Kristen? She switched from her to her laptop. Sorry to interrupt you, Kat.
I just did,
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry, Kat.
No worries, thank you. So yeah, I just basically updated this timeline to be more clear, and try to add some language to help people understand what the flow of thinking was. And then the implementation, who will be responsible, I updated this section to include the construction phase administration oversight. I spoke with Travis to ensure that he was comfortable being the town representative, the department head that would help oversee this project, in addition to this added construction phase administrator. So that was the only thing that I modified, and then I added the MWA support letter, which we now have. And I think I took out the bridge quote. We talked about doing that because it's confusing. And so the only thing left to do for quotes would be to provide the quote for the administrative costs. So I'll stop there and let you ask questions. What else can I provide?
Okay. So I think first, because we have a list of outstanding items, and that was just a lot to take in. So, I think first we'll go down the line with any questions on what's been updated, and then we'll double back to, because I think some of the things on my list she just addressed. So we'll just go down the line and see if anybody has any questions on the updates. I know we just got this, and it's hard to do this now, but let's see what we have Kat here, if there's any questions or comments on what she updated. Ellen?
Sure. Thank you for the updated information. I know you said you will be providing a quote for that construction management service. So just wondering in the interim where the 40,000 estimate comes from.
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT to get an estimate based on the project scope.
Okay. And so you mentioned, which makes sense, the issues with getting an updated quote on the full construction piece and creating the conflict of interest. Is there a similar issue with getting a solid quote for the management piece, or that's not a concern?
Yeah, I don't think that should be a concern, because I'm not comfortable that it's a concern.
Okay.
I'm not concerned that it is an issue.
I think that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie?
No questions.
Okay. Kristen?
I was curious about the 40 as well, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Claire?
No, I think it's a really good quick summary of what has changed, the way you pointed it out. My only question that I have is, and this might get updated, it seems like the cover had a line that said the July 21st meeting. Does that get updated then with the August meeting? Oh, was that there before?
I had pulled up the wrong one, Claire, so
I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
you were right to call it out, so I had to.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy. Thank you.
No, you're not.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Is that it, Claire?
I'm good.
Thank you. Grant?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Okay. So before I start the list, I will make a comment. I'm concerned about the 65% and not having a valid quote. On all the other projects we have before us, we have an itemized quote. I understand the reason why, Kat, but I think it's gonna be an issue at town meeting, personally. When somebody's looking at a packet, and I could give you a quote for whatever, how did you actually get to the 65? What's the itemization of that? So I'm just gonna throw that out there as a Lisa thing before we go through the list, that I think that's a hurdle. That's a hurdle for me, to not have, and it's not a matter of trust or anything for anybody, but it's a lot of money to not have something concrete. I mean, we have concrete for golf, we have concrete for rec, so again, and I don't know how to do that, Kat, but I mean, that's one of my big concerns, is being able to have faith in a number that we don't even really have a number. We have a piece of paper that says 448,000. So, again, I don't know, again, I'm not gonna put you on the spot to address it tonight, but just know that that's a concern that I have. And in every other project we've done, I can't think of one where we didn't have, since I've been on CPC anyway, itemized quote. So for me, that's a concern. It may not be for others, but for me, that's a big concern. I think for $215,000, again, I think the public, they've already invested, monies into the trails because they believe in it. But I think, again, it's, just for me, it would be better to have something a little more itemized.
Fair, but we're not gonna get that, right? We don't have an option to get that. Our hands are tied as regarding, so, and I looked at the original bid, which it's not as clear cut, and I can share it with the committee for any kind of itemization they can get out of it, but it's not broken down by structure. It's just a number, right? So that's the challenge that we have. The bid is not broken down in a way that would make sense to, that would provide any clarity on the itemization, like what is the bridge cost, what is the abutment cost, what does this cost? We don't have that kind of breakdown. So if this committee is not comfortable, and I'm not sure what we can do to move forward.
So let me ask you this,
Can I-
then. And again, I'm not speaking for everyone on the committee. This is my comments, you know, and my concern. So
Sure.
for the 65% number, help me understand better then, and I think this is something, this would be a challenge going forward. Who came up with 65%? Was it committee, was it a consultant? Again, I think that.
Town asked the bidders, both of them who provided a bid, to give us a cost breakdown. They would not.
Okay.
One bidder shared, if you need a cost breakdown, do a 65-35 split. That's how we would recommend you do the cost breakdown. And that's where the 65, and that's what the description, as when you review the application, you'll see how I framed it to indicate that and why we're using that approach.
Okay. All right, let me think about it, Kat, and I may send you another question offline. I don't wanna hold up the process here, but
Sure.
yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah, one of my,
Can I,
go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, can I jump in on this if we're gonna be talking about this item? I just wanna know, I don't find it personally, and I don't know what other committee members feel, but I don't find it an issue, especially, it's not just that she's putting down a random number on paper, it's a pretty informed number, I think, right? So she went out to bid, she got the bid quote, you know, a number came back, and she has been informed by the person who gave her the bid what the rough estimate would be, and then she's inflated that number to give herself extra room. So, you know, I think it'd be different if the applicant was just saying, we think it might be 300,000 and we have no basis for it, but this is based off of a quote and information from the person who provided the quote, or multiple people. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, where I don't find it to be an issue, even though it might be the usual, I think, finding the extra contingency funds. We might be overfunding it, but in this case, where this project has already been, you know, didn't have enough funds in the first place, I don't find that to be too much of a problem.
No,
That's just my thought.
I appreciate that, Grant, and I'm sure that there's other members on the committee that feel the same way, and that's fine. That's why we're having this discussion. It doesn't benefit Trails in any way for a comment or a question not to come up at this meeting, you know? I think it's about due diligence, and it's doing our job, and I think we have to look at everything full circle. So, and again, I'm sure you're not the only one, Grant, that doesn't have an issue with this. I just,
Sure.
I'm an accountant by trade, so obviously, you know, numbers is what I wanna see. And, you know, again, I don't want it to become an issue. I don't wanna go down the rabbit hole on this piece tonight, but again, that was just my comment. Everybody had their comments, and if everybody's good, we'll just go through the list now.
Can I jump in?
Go, yeah.
I don't know if it was part of this update, but submitting the bid document that the 65% is based on, as well as the RFP that went out for the bid, which is going to let people know what you were looking for, and then you're going to show people what the bid came out for everything, and it might give some justification, and people can go through it as much as they feel that it might help. It's better than nothing, I think, than just a dollar amount. And I think that will give you some level of knowledge of what was put out there to bid on, and then what the bid came back at, so that, and now what you're reducing, taking out, is a portion of that, and it will make more sense to anyone who has to answer the question. And you might be able to summarize it with other eyes on it in a better way for any questions at town meeting. That's my thought.
So what I'd like to do is share that document, those documents with the committee, and get guidance on what to include, because it's a massive amount of information, and I think we want to make sure that it's clear in how it's read, and that it's not burying, you know, it's not too much and overload, you know, in a way that's not going to be positive for the town or for anybody. But I'm happy to share that information with the committee and have you make a call on that to help provide some guidance of whether it will be used or not. So I can send along that information.
Okay. Okay, the list, so that was number one, the 65%, so we dealt with that. There was a question on the maintenance, and one of the comments, Kath, that you said, I just wanted to follow up on it, was, when, I think it was, I don't remember who asked the question, but there was, one of the comments you said is, when they decide if the decking has changed to wood, will have a impact on the maintenance and the cost. I'm gonna try to find the exact quote, bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to remember who questioned the maintenance.
I think it was me.
I think it was you, Ellen, too. Yeah.
I was on a maintenance.
This library. I should have separated all of these together, but I didn't. All right, this was trails. Support letter, sorry. And again, I don't mean to hold things up, again, I wanna make sure that what we're doing is complete, that's all.
Yeah, and I think the general gist was that, right, depending on the choice of material, there are different maintenance requirements, timelines, expenses, and so the application you shared last time had those 3 different materials quotes as well that it sounds like you removed, because it was helpful information but a little confusing as part of the whole package. So I think, is your question going to kind of when will that decision
Yes.
be made and how does that
Yep.
impact those maintenance costs and
Yep.
responsibilities?
Is that a, yes, that's the question.
Yes, that's the question, sorry.
Okay, so let me reframe it to make sure I'm hearing it right. So if we do, so we'll make the decision, likely we'll make the decision before we go to bid, right? So we'll be making the decision then on the decking, and that will be based on cost as well. And so the question is, if we're using wood decking, then the maintenance costs may go up because wood will not last as long as the fiberglass reinforced polymer, decking. What would the committee like us to say, other than we're responsible for the costs? So if boards need to be replaced, then, we have a small trails budget. Will that budget be applied towards the cost of maintenance? It could be. We would have to go after perhaps other money, grant money, but I can't give a name of a grant that I would go after for that at this point in time. So we would find ways to fund the maintenance of the project. So I guess I would ask the committee, what additional information can I provide in this maintenance section that would provide more confidence that we're covering and responsible for the maintenance?
So if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Sure, I think for me, a general sense of maintenance timeline and costs given the different materials. So again, it doesn't have to be a full breakdown of what grant it would be, but an understanding of if it's wood decking in the next 20 years, we're going to need to spend $1,000, $15,000, and the Trails Committee would plan to apply for grants for that. If it's a fiberglass, we just need to, who knows, I don't know anything about how these things work, but so we don't need to touch it for the next 40 years. So I think something at that high level, just to give us a sense that what the plan is to maintain it.
Okay.
And actually, that was in the minutes, so, again, I was going between 4 different documents trying to consolidate everything, so.
Oh, sorry, Claire has her hand up. I
No,
don't know if you want
absolutely,
this.
please, go ahead, Claire.
Thanks. Lisa brought up a very good question, and when she said that about how these costs determined, I said to myself, why didn't I think of that? Here's the thing, not to oversimplify it, and I'm totally out of my league with this, but is it reasonable to say that this is based on whether it's a linear foot, whether it's half-mile increments or whatever, considering that there are different terrains and all that kind of stuff that hit with building something like that. And also, I mean, does that kind of make sense? I mean, like if you're laying pipes, there's a cost per linear foot of laying pipes. And it just would seem logical then to me, after what Lisa said, is, yeah, well, I mean, is it $5 a foot? And you know, how many feet are you gonna do? And you come up with a ballpark price. And then one other part to consider with this is what you were just talking about before. There's going to be a difference in what the decking is made out of. There's going to be a difference in the price. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Anybody else on the maintenance piece? Okay, and I will just add.
I'll just add that it's an interesting question. I agree, kind of like what Claire just said. Because now my mind kind of started going to being like, well, it's, you know, it's in the middle of the woods. What could happen to it? How likely, you know, if we do go with just wood, you know, what kind of damage? It's a great question because it will come up. Lisa, to your earlier point at town meeting, and one I hadn't like really put a ton of thought into either.
Well, it was Ellen's question. I can't take credit for it. I just went back and wrote it down. The only thing I'll add though is, because Ellen had asked the question at our last meeting, and then Kat explained that the modular bridge has a 75-year lifespan, which requires little maintenance. And then, although this would change if the decking is changed to wood, that's where the question came up with that I wrote it down. It was based on a question from Ellen. Anybody else on the maintenance? Seeing none. Okay.
I just want to clarify that the lifetime of 75 years will still remain for the structure of the bridge itself. The only question is the decking, if we were to change.
Correct.
Then that maintenance, life
Okay.
will change, yeah.
And Kat, I will send you this list that I'm going through. I'll put it in a document tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Next there was a question about DCR. And Grant, I believe this was you, for protected for park and rec, and if there's no protection, how do we proceed based on the requirements of CPC?
Yeah, thank you. So, I think it's I believe we said that we would reach out to Stuart Sagamore and get his advice on this. I know it wasn't an issue in prior, or I don't believe it was an issue in prior rounds. It was this third application for this project on the same site, so it might not be an issue for me anyway, but I would like to know if it's permanently protected for recreational use, and if it's not permanent, you know, does interacting with the state and having the state say it's okay kind of thing make it okay, I guess, for us, is a question I have.
Okay, and Freddie has an answer on the Stewart piece, to some degree. So.
Yes, so Stuart, I have a scheduled call with him on the 10th. Couldn't do it sooner because I won't go to. Anyhow, so the 10th, and that's on the question. And one of the things, you're right, Grant, it wasn't an issue on the past rounds, because you know the saying, when you know better, you do better. Committee has learned has learned requirements that we should have been looking at over a more recent project, so that they started looking into that. It's always been there, we just hadn't really fully understood what the obligations of the committee was to ensure that that was followed, and once you start doing it, you have to be consistent across the board. But because it's DCR land, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you don't want to do your due diligence, and also, so I'll ask Stuart, and the other thing is, it's a lot of money to have DC, I know that there's a contract, right, for, or a lease using the land, but you'd hate to put that kind of money in and have someone say, oh, oops, yeah, we're not gonna let you use that anymore because it wasn't, you know. So just due diligence, that's it. Finding a way to make it work.
So we'll have an answer on that prior to our next meeting. We'll have Freddie draft up something and have it in the Dropbox, so we're all prepared. Any other
Great, thank
questions or comments on the DCR and the protection or slash non-protection, if you will, of the land? Go ahead, Ellen.
So just to add to that, and thank you, Freddie, for setting up that conversation. So just from looking at the land online, it looks like it does at least have Article 97 protection. So, which is, you know, not forever, and there's a process to have that removed. But that involves the legislature and a lot of steps. And so that is at least one level of protection that is on that land.
But it's not it's different.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they can say you can't have that
Yes.
trail there anymore.
It just says they're not gonna turn it into a mall anytime soon.
Anytime soon.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can have trails there forever. Right. Yeah.
Katie, anything
Thanks,
else?
all.
On this? Claire, anything else on the DCR piece?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. Kristen?
No, I don't.
All right, Grant, and I assume since you spoke first, you're all set for now. If not, jump right
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah, sorry, I guess my only, first, thanks, Alan, for that, was, just so I know where to find that, is that on the town's GIS map? Is that how you found that map?
I was looking at the state's GIS map, which I think has some additional layers.
Okay.
So it's if you are on Mass Mapper, and I can share this if you want me to.
Okay, I'm familiar with it, I believe,
Yeah.
so I can track it down.
So
Thank
if
you.
you look through that, it shows kind of all of the different open space types of protection that are on the lands.
Is that from the state records and
Yep.
not the towns?
From the state.
Just saying.
Great,
so-
thank you.
All right, next up is the 0.4 acres of accessible. So at our last meeting, and I'm gonna read this from the minutes, Kat, Ms. McKee explained that, sorry, I put my glasses on, that they are trying to clear only the first quarter miles will be accessible, and she said she would clarify the language. So I'm just throwing that out there as a to-do. If it hasn't been done, happy to, you know, I have it on the list.
I don't understand. So I remember the conversation came up. It says the defining feature of the trails that are already in place is a 0.4 mile trail segment that meets accessibility criteria. This is the summary of the overall project background, right? And then this 2026 CPA project overview says nothing about that. So can you please reframe what is the ask?
So, hold on, I'm gonna read the minutes here because I didn't go back. How the accessible areas in the park work, and Ms. McKee explained that they're trying to clear that only the first floor would be accessible, and she would clarify the language. Let me go back to my notes, because this was a question I had. I guess I didn't write it on here. Kat, I will go back and I will touch base with you on that one, because that one came from me. And I don't remember off the top of my head in what context it was. I'll even go back and watch it on the
I
video.
kind of remember the conversation was we don't want to make this appear to be,
Correct.
well,
The whole
I
trail.
didn't, we don't want the whole trail to be appearing as accessible.
Correct.
Or that the project is about accessibility. The only thing it's meant, you know, it's mentioned in the overall background to give the bigger picture about the trail itself, so that's why it's mentioned at all. So if you can take a look, Lisa, thank you.
I will
for sharing
definitely do that.
way
That-
we clarify that.
that
So
one's on me.
for-
And I
Thank
didn't-
you so much.
I didn't write it down, so I did write updated app. I don't know what that means too. So, if anyone has any questions on the 0.4, I can't give you my context at this point, but if anyone else has any questions, Ellen? No. Katie?
No.
Kristen?
No.
Claire?
So is the question, and I don't really totally understand it, but does the whole trail have to be ADA compliant?
No.
No.
No?
No, it doesn't. And none of it has
Well,
to
it
be.
doesn't fall under ADA stuff, so to speak, for lack of a better.
The 0.4 section of the trail is qualified as ADA, correct?
Understood, yeah, but, and that's good enough, it doesn't have to be the whole trail.
Correct, right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I go back and get the context that I'm missing tonight, sorry about that. And Grant?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Okay. Next up was project manager, but sounds like you've already addressed that. So I will leave it on there just to get, more backup information on the 40,000.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
for you?
Go ahead.
So, sorry, don't know where I wrote it. You're calling it a management construction admin, how is that I think that's the term you used. How is that different from an OPM?
It's very similar. It's just, it's not an OPM. Well, it's just, it serves as an OPM, but I'm not comfortable calling it an OPM, because the way it's described on the vendor's website, that we've requested a quote from is not described as an OPM. And it serves as, it will serve as the project manager to act on the town's behalf to ensure that the project is on track. Very similar to how an OPM works. An OPM, owner's project manager in cases.
Right, so just curious about the difference at, and I'm glad to see that it's there, and it might be very well, but what different work do they do from an OPM? And certainly we're not running away from helping to pay for that. No one seemed to balk at that additional price, so I'm just curious what the difference is in value for, not just the town, but for the Trails Committee as well, as far as responsibility and oversight.
And Freddie, maybe to add to your question, just to give an example, because this comes up obviously on recreation projects all the time. And, if there was to be, let's say, a mistake made with the materials used for the bridge, who knows? So if it's something, doesn't go according to plan, is that OPM, where does that responsibility lie with the OPM? Again, I think that clarity would be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
not because anyone thinks there's going to be mistakes made, but
But they get made.
stuff happens,
Yeah.
It's a big project, and you just want to be sure, that you're protected, the town's protected, and the project proceeds. You'd hate to find out after the fact when something doesn't go right.
Anything else on that, anybody? Okay. Next question they came up with was, Kat, there was some discussion about the higher funding tier, the up to $500,000 and the.
Yes.
So that's one of the outstanding things I have is, does this qualify for the higher funding tier?
I did a little more research on that, and I'm gonna just say no.
Okay.
It's 100K.
It's what?
100K cap for Mass Trails grant.
Mass Trails, let's write this down. Doesn't qualify, okay. All right, next up.
Nothing to sneeze on.
What?
100K is nothing to sneeze
No,
at
not
either.
at all. Sorry, I should have asked everybody if they had another question or comment on that before I moved on, sorry.
Thanks for looking into that.
Kristen, any other question or comment on the grant?
No.
Okay, Grant, any question on the
No.
grant?
No grants on the grant.
Okay, great. Claire?
No?
Okay,
I did have one, just to make it clear,
Yep.
because we were earlier talking about different town meetings. I just want to make sure my understanding is correct, that to apply for this grant, the State Trails Grant, the application is in February, and you need to have your match in place at that time?
I don't know if we need the match at that time, but if the question is, could we push this to town meeting of next year, we're respectfully requesting no, please don't.
The question isn't, are we going to push it to, I'm just saying, did you need to have the match when you apply in February?
We did have, I think it makes our odds better, speaking from just some generalities, it makes our position better if we go with the shovel-ready, match-ready project. I think last time we went with it and we said, I can't remember, I can't remember exactly the timing, if we had contingent upon town meeting, like we went,
No, you had the funding ready when you applied, I'm pretty sure, because
Yeah.
the warrant article required you to apply for it, so you had the money, and then you applied for it. You had the approval.
yeah, but I don't know if the timing of the grant was February and then town meeting was March or something like that, so I don't remember exactly, but in this case, yeah, it would be, so in this case, we would have the match already secured, we'll say hypothetically, and then shovel-ready project, so that's hopefully the objective that we can work with.
Can I ask one more question about the grant? It's a percentage of the project, correct?
Yes,
So it's not, is 100,000 based on the percentage of the project, or is that the top amount could it be less based, I know it always can be less, but.
yeah, it can always be less.
But there's also the formula, do you meet the formula for the 100K? I don't wanna be talking about it, it's only a 20% match.
So I'm not sure what the question is, but the cap is 100%, the grant is at 100%, so can you reframe the question so I can try to help answer?
Sometimes these grants are like at 20% of the project amount,
Yes, it is, that's right.
so it's 20%.
Of
So
project.
if the project's 400,000, it wouldn't be 100,000 at 20%, correct? I just wanna make sure we're looking at the right amount of, even though the top amount that they grant is 100, if it's a 450, I'm just making it up, what?
471.
471, that's
94.3.
90,000, so it's close, but I wouldn't want to be saying 100,000 if it wasn't actually possible to get to the 100. Want to be kind of clear on that. It's not a big difference, but.
Well, it's good to know. Okay. Next up, we have a legal question for Jay. I had a brief conversation, we're setting up a time for Friday night to talk to him about a few different things. The question was how to handle approved project whose scopes change. That was one of the questions we had to know for this. So that's forthcoming. As soon as we get something on that, we'll put it in the Dropbox and let you know. Next up was a support letter to be provided. You did that. That was the MWRA letter that's in the packet, so thank you. I'd like to check things off. And then the last thing is being worked on now is the closeout process. Freddie's working on that. So we will have something on that as for the next meeting as well. So that was all I currently was able to pull from the information, so we'll go down the line again, we'll see if anybody's got anything else to add that they're looking for or comment they'd like to make. Ellen?
Nothing we haven't covered.
Perfect. Katie?
Thanks.
I like this. All right, Claire?
All set.
So good. Kristen, don't ruin the role here.
No, good.
All right, great. Thank you, Grant.
No, thanks to Kat.
Okay, perfect. All right, Kat, I will shoot you over this list. Obviously, I need to take some things off. You took care of some things already. Much appreciated. Thank you. And then we'll let you know when the next meeting is as well. But I will also make a note to touch base with you on what my question really was and what my intent was on the point 4.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Awesome.
Just as a reminder, it's not for your concern, but I'm gonna be out the next 2 weeks. I will be checking email and such, but my productivity will be less than, so I'll try to get all my stuff done before I leave and then keep balls rolling so that we're getting quotes we need to update as needed.
When are you leaving, Kat?
Saturday, the 8th, returning on the 21st.
So you're leaving this Saturday.
Correct.
I will make sure you have the list tomorrow morning, just so
Thank you very much.
you can work
I
towards
appreciate
that.
that.
So,
And I'm gonna, okay, thank you.
no, did you have something else? Go ahead.
No, I think I'll just send in an email. I think we've talked about it already, so I'm comfortable.
Okay. Perfect. All right, Kat, thank you. Much
Thank you for
appreciated.
everyone's time. Okay, bye.
All right, so now we've gone through our list, and I will put the note I'm gonna send everybody, I'll put it in the Dropbox. I'll create the Dropbox tomorrow, so if anybody wants to do it going forward. Okay, do we have anything for signage, Ellen?
What about rec?
Oh my God. Sorry, Kristen.
I thought we were getting off.
Holy cow, I think you were the smaller on my list, that's why. I did it all out of order.
I mean, the update is pretty quick in believe Travis is on the line as well, but he's traveling, and I don't know if we even need to bring him over. Well, we should bring him over if he's able to, but really the update's pretty quick, in that last time we talked, we shared with you all kind of the proposals we would like to make to enhance the parking at Park, because obviously obviously it's an issue we want to address regardless of what happens with the enhancements to the park, because again, there's already issues that we see that we think we could help remedy. So to that end, the plan that we discussed with you in our last meeting, we outlined in a letter to the select board and to the planning board, and then also passed on, the more detailed options that we were provided by Activitas, but there was one that we preferred, that we had reviewed with you all last time we spoke, so we captured that in the letter. I sent that off to the select board and planning board actually this morning. So we specifically, requested that we have a discussion with them, and we requested the September 1st meeting because we know their August 11th is already a huge agenda. So, we didn't want to obviously try to impose on that. So really for us, that's the biggie, right? It's September 1st. And I'm happy to send you all, I'll forward you the email that we sent to those boards for your reference, but it really does detail everything that we basically spoke about in our last call with you.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. It's already in the Dropbox. I believe I put it in the Dropbox already. So all set there. I saved you a step. How's that?
I appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
So barring that, I think we'll just go through the list. And again, I think it should be quick. One of the things that we were looking for was the contingency, the 15%. It didn't look like it was built in anywhere. Travis was going to check on that.
I know he was picking up his son, so we might have caught him, of course, like that one
Okay. Well,
moment.
again, it'll be on the list, Kristen. He doesn't have to necessarily answer it tonight, but just know that that was one of the things we're looking for.
Absolutely.
And then we had talked about briefly off-site parking with another business. So I didn't know if that was still.
Yeah.
Okay. That was still
Yes,
viable.
Travis and I discussed, and he's going to we would like to meet with them ahead of that September 1st meeting. So we'll be providing them a copy with the letter as well, and then we're trying to get a discussion in with just, some possibilities that we could potentially bring forward in that September 1st meeting as well.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to just zip through these. I meant to go back and ask if anyone had any other questions regarding the off-site parking that was briefly touched on at the last meeting.
I do, and I think this is not really for Kristen, it's for Freddie. I had a question about CPA eligibility for parking in general, and I think we had a discussion about, it's kind of supplementary to the main project, and it's probably okay, but I thought maybe we're gonna check with
It's on the
with
list.
Stuart
So,
on.
yeah,
Okay.
it's further down
Great.
on the list, Grant. So
Okay,
that makes sense.
and then while we're talking about parking, the only other thing I have is, I was not exactly clear about what the September 1st meeting request is gonna be, Kristen, but I think I mentioned at the previous meeting that if it is off-site, like street improvements, like the blinking light or the crosswalk, or things that are not really on the site itself, then maybe if that always looking for alternative funding sources. If that comes from the general fund or DPW budget or something else, that
Right.
would, as opposed to CPA funding, that would be.
And that is part of, so you'll see within the letter, it's just kind of summarizing basically this current situation and then the options that we'd like to see if they would be supportive of. Like we said, it's really above and beyond just the enhancements to the park. Really, this would be beneficial regardless. So that would be covered absolutely. And also, I know Bill and Travis have had discussions on the flashing lights, for example, and the possibility to get the grant. And there's some not complications, but there's some details in terms of prioritization. But all of those in play, completely agree. But that's absolutely part of the discussion that we hope to have on the 1st. We're not on the agenda yet.
Okay,
And
great, thank you.
that's also on the list, the blinking light and all that too. Just forgot to
Yeah.
So this is specific to the off-site using parking from another business. So Ellen, did you want to add?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, I didn't make it clear, I just said off-site grant, that's on me.
All I was gonna say is that Lisa also put the parking study in the Dropbox
Yes,
as well.
thank you.
So that's, helpful to look at.
Yes,
That's
sorry.
the comments.
Okay, there was a question, had this been presented to Concom, and I think, Grant, that may have came from you at the last meeting, I can actually pull it up.
I need to get some.
Yeah.
It may have.
Yes, you asked if the
Have you said it
project,
for me?
it's in the minutes, I'll pull that right up. Mr. Farrington
Okay,
asked if
it
the
did.
project had been presented to the Conservation Commission, and Mr. Farley said that they checked with DCR, but would be happy to go before the commission. So that's just, it's on the list, Kristen?
Hi guys, I'm finally back. I'm sorry for the delay.
That's okay.
Hey Travis, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good, sorry. I knew that as we worked for the meeting, I knew this was gonna sync up with a 10-minute window that I have to go pick up my son. But I'm back now. Yeah, I did have a conversation with our conservation coordinator, and she did say there shouldn't be any issues, but I'm happy to go before the Concom committee and do it more formally if you'd like. But whatever action item you would like me to pursue, I will pursue it. But I did have a conversation with our conservation point to the town, and there were no major concerns on their side
Grant,
or her side.
that's up to you. This was your point. Are you satisfied with that, or are you looking for more?
No, I'm satisfied with that. Thanks for doing that, Travis.
Wow.
Oh, no worries. Happy to help answer. At least going back to your initial point about the contingency, I thought the updated estimate that I did send had at least 10% contingency, but I'll double check that to make sure.
All right, and I'll double check as we go down the line too. For some reason, it was still in all my notes, the contingency, so,
I do have the estimate, and if there are these, I can send it to you tomorrow, but I have the contingency one. I remember looking at it, and I thought it was in that packet, but maybe I sent the old one. I'll double check too.
oh, you know what, maybe that was based on what we were looking at that night. Because it just says, she, again, assuming it's me, pointed out that some updates and errors in the application and asked if there's a contingency built in. You said that there should be 15%, you will check on the numbers on the budget, so you're saying that's been done. And I'll double check through my paperwork, the new paperwork as well.
Did he say 10%?
15.
I thought it was 10%, but I can up it to 15 if you
Well,
want.
no, and just, the discussion was 15 at the last meeting.
That has been
Okay.
standard,
Standard, okay.
because, it's like, if you don't need it, you don't use it, but you don't wanna
Correct.
have a project of this magnitude go forward,
Yes.
and then something comes up and you can't finish it because you did 10%, not 15.
I'll double check that.
I will note though that we'll get pressed on that for sure, Tommy. Somebody always presses us. Like when we went to the field, right, and contingency, I think we had overdone the contingency, but 15 versus 10, I know we will get pressed on that, so we'll just have to have a good answer.
If that's always been the standard of the CPA articles,
Yeah.
though, it's not right.
Yeah, I don't disagree, I just know we always get pushback.
So Travis, and looking back at further notes, that it was identified in the budget documentation dated April 29th, 26, which currently lacks a 15% contingency. We committed to verifying the inclusion of it, so that's.
Yep, we'll verify that.
Okay, so next up is the Grant mentioned this, and about Freddie confirming the light parking if it's CPC fundable. I'll let you touch on that, that's where you're at. You have a meeting with Stuart already, so
It's on the list.
it's on the list, and we'll have an answer for that, for the next meeting. Let's see, the buffer zone, so I think it was Ms. Fiore that talked about the buffer zone for walking, will it be maintained? And did activists, am I saying that right? I should know about Activitas, I think I knew it didn't sound right. Clarify the ADA requirements, necessitate a buffer zone at the crosswalk to ensure individuals can maneuver to the fields. So that's on the list, I don't know if anything's been done with that.
I will say, Travis, I mean, just between, I was looking at the design, and to me, it looked, whatever I was looking at, looked like it was clearly there, but let's get Activitas to just give us that in writing.
And I'll give you, again, I'll send you guys the list, so, and I can tell you
Right.
where in the meeting that the discussion even took place. So, anything else from anybody on the
Lisa,
buffer
you don't
zone?
have to do that, you don't have to do that for us, unless, that sounds like a pain. We know, we're very familiar with what you're talking about.
Okay, okay. Anybody else on the buffer zone? Okay,
Claire.
Claire, go
So-
ahead, Claire, sorry.
So I'm referring back to the letter that I sent to all of you on July 24th, because I had said at the 21st meeting that I was going to summarize everything. So in terms of parking, the first item that I have listed there, I know at Tivitas, you know, they put together their ideas and stuff, but in the end, isn't it the police department or maybe DPW who has to sign off on the fact that the parking is acceptable? And the reason that I bring this up is I actually went over there a couple days ago, and that area where they're planning the angled parking, boy, that's pretty shallow, and there's not a whole lot of room for walking around, etc. So that's something I think that needs to get straightened out.
We've talked at length about it, like, you're completely right, and that's why the plan does include, like, that they have to, I don't know what the right word is, but that accounts for the fact that extra space would be needed. And Travis has met with the police chief and he's met with the DPW superintendent. We added into our letter to the select board that we'd like them, given their obviously their expertise and involvement, we'd love for them to be at the September 1st meeting as well, so we could get their opinions. I think they both have slightly different ones. So, and then we very much have a lot of debates. Travis will remember we had a very lively debate in one of our recreation meetings about, you know, who at the end of the day, who does make these decisions. And I've talked outline with
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Well, but we did, you know, I think we figured it out. We've discussed it. Lisa agrees. I sent it to the select board and the planning board. We've debated, you know, who at the end of the day is the final authority, and that's why we sent that, directed that letter to the select board. But that's what we'll be discussing September 1st. We want to make sure we have all the decision makers involved, because I don't think it's just one body.
Right. So, thank you. Very helpful. Lisa, the next question that I have, and because you're on the planning board, I don't want to put you on the spot, but,
Let's not, no.
you know, well, I'll do it anyway.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So doesn't the planning board have to approve this amount of parking at the location, or does it get some kind of a, for lack of a better term, dispensation from the Pope that they can park extra cars? Because it's Res B, so I don't know what the parking restrictions are on X amount of acreage of land.
So it's interesting that you asked me this question. So Karina and I had a discussion today. I had a couple questions myself. So this project is going to need to come before planning board for site plan approval, whether it's a modified version or, you know, a full version based on disturbance of over 2,000 square feet. So at some point this is going to come back, as well as for the expansion of use of the park as well. And again, I can't speak to the intricate pieces of this. This was just a general discussion I had, and you know, parking does fall under, to some degree, falls under planning. But I think what they're looking to do here, Claire, in changing the spots and the designation of the spots, that falls under the select board. So, but there has to be site plan review on the project.
Right, okay. And then I think, I put this on the list, but it was really, I think, Katie's question as was put in the minutes from the 21st, in terms of making sure with the parking over, the deeded parking, that those spaces or the location of them are really definitely known. Or identified, so to speak.
Can I?
That's part of the request of the select board. We know that those conversations are ongoing. You know, we're not going to know in their, you know, what they've already got ongoing, but that's definitely a point, you know, with a discussion point within the letter.
Yeah. Okay. And I would just say that was on the list, but there are conversations taking place, Claire, regarding that.
Okay.
That, you know.
Okay. Well, because they're gonna come up, so,
Yes.
anyway, and I figured some of the stuff has to get flushed out before
Yep.
this thing goes to town meeting.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, let's see, I don't have very many things left on here, Kristen. This was just a me thing that it just kind of popped into my head. I know that, if it goes to town meeting and gets approved, that you're gonna be redoing the parking area with repaving and everything. Just a curious thing that popped into my head is, do we know any anticipation of how long the park may or may not be closed? Is that the first priority of the park? Because I'd hate to have the splash pad put in and then take up all the parking and then not be able to do it. So I just didn't know where the prioritization of that was. And, you know, again, you probably don't have the answer, because who the heck knows at this point? It's like, you know, we're still at a
Yeah.
discussion phase, but I was just curious, that's all.
Do you mean like prioritization in terms of like sequence of events in terms
Yes.
of the construction?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Do you know, Trav? I'm sure it's.
I think the goal would be to keep the playground open and then not see back. Yeah, I don't think we ever really got that far yet,
Okay.
but the goal would be to keep that playground open because it is just cool that everybody loves it to see so much traffic. Be my goal if awarded.
Okay. That's it. Again, it was just one of those things that popped into my head as I was doing the list. I said, oh, I might as well just ask this question too. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's that. So, another thing that was on there was submitting requests to select board and planning board. You've done that. That's complete. Thank you. And I'll come back to you.
Sorry,
Okay.
I don't have a question.
Okay, so just one follow-up, Kristen. I know at the last meeting, Patty Fiore had a question on a Facebook post. Again, I had it on my list that you were gonna review it. A simple yes or no is fine. Have you looked at the comments? And I'm not asking for anything more than that. I just want acknowledgement that, you know, that was one of the things that was requested on the Facebook post.
Yes, I think it was if I'm remembering correctly, my memory was not what it used to be. I think it was in line with feedback that we had received already, as well as maybe I'm sorry, I'm struggling to remember,
No.
but I do.
It's fine. Somebody had done a post about whether you like dog parks. I think that was what the post was about. And then,
Oh, yes,
then there was a bunch
yeah,
of comments, yes and no, back and forth. And Patty had asked if you had seen it. So again,
yeah,
because it was
yeah.
asked, again, just, it's in my
No,
notes.
that's fair, yes, and it's, you know, it's very in line with the
Perfect.
types of feedback we've heard in recent times.
As long as we can acknowledge that it was done, I can take it off the list, so that's good. And then the last thing that I had was just the reminder about that it's gonna have to go, for site plan. So Travis, I would recommend you reach out to Karina, just to, you know, get it on the radar for the process. So that's what I had for rec for tonight. We'll go down the line and see if I missed anything, and I probably did, because this was like a lot going through back meetings and stuff. So, Ellen.
Great. Thank you. I'm just looking at the email that you put together, Claire, and thank you for doing that. I think there are just a couple other things that we didn't go through yet. One was a question about the processor and the National Park Service grant. So if that were to be awarded, kind of how that impacts the budget for this part.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Cox, why don't you take that one?
I was actually happy about this stuff. I don't want to speak for the rec commission. I don't think we'd be moving forward with this project not knowing we had potential, a very real potential to get a grant funding for a huge portion of this project, or not, at least half of the project. I think in the estimate that I did submit, at the bottom was the LWCF eligibility for the project, and I'll resubmit that tomorrow, but I believe it was 50%, so not including the parking. So I think it was 609 what grant eligible. So it's a fairly large chunk of the overall cost of the project. And again, hoping to hear back before town meeting, but it's a federal grant, and we are not really given a time period for when we're going to hear.
Thank you.
And I think, you know, that everyone obviously has some hesitation of bringing too many eggs in a federal basket these days.
Thank you.
And actually, I did have one more question. But go
Yeah,
ahead,
no,
Ellen. Sorry.
thanks.
No, finish. I just realized I missed something.
No, sure. So I think we'd also asked about the I'm getting a sense of the other costs around the splash pad, kind of setup, maintenance, winterization, and kind of the potential to reach out to some other rec departments and see if they had some insight on those costs.
I have not, but I will put that and I will have an answer for you for the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Is your pen also a golf club?
It is.
Next question, okay.
I had to get in the flavor of the golf.
There we go, thank you. We have these big screens now, so it was impressive.
Very astute, good.
You know, we have to pay attention. I think, looking at this list, it was your question, Katie, I don't know if you wanted to, come back to this one about the building department reviewing the Activitas plan and kind of when in the process that happens, if it was before town meeting or after.
I think it's after. I think I was just trying to kind of settle some nerves about, you know, is this legal? Is this gonna all of that's gonna be flushed out through the building department, the zoning department. I think even the walkway with the parking, that's something like an engineer is gonna take a look at and call out. I don't think that you could have a plan where that's not on there and have it, you know, pass muster. So yeah, if that helps.
Thank you. Yep, I think that's everything from Claire's list.
Okay, perfect. And actually, Claire's list actually brought me back to one of the points that I had missed with all my little scribbles here, was that the discussions with the DPW for grant funding for the blinking light, did you give an update and I just missed checking that off on my list?
Yeah, I mean, we talked with, it's kind of part of the discussion on September 1st because there are the grants, but there are some dependencies with that grant. You know, Bill can't just select whatever street he wants. So right now, it's not like that grant, he has applied for that, but he could apply for it. That's why it's really discussion for September 1st.
Okay.
Again, that's also not I'll just pause there. You put forward all that information, now we want that input from others in terms of what's the best path forward for something, for example, like the flashing lights.
Okay. All right, is that it for you all?
Yep.
Katie, anything?
Anything else?
All right, Claire, anything else on this?
So I forgot to put on my list, but I may have mentioned it at the last meeting. Has anybody talked about, for example, with the dog park, has anybody talked about what adding a dog park is going to do with the town's liability insurance?
That was discussed way back, and that, I believe the response, and I'll dig back for it, Claire, was that it's no increase and it's covered under the town's liability policy.
Oh, okay. Because I really think somebody's going to ask, in light of anybody watching the news and seeing dog attacks, somebody's going to be asking that question at town meeting.
Yeah, but, yeah, and I believe, Travis, I believe it was you that got the answer to that question way back from Mark Purple.
Yeah, it's, we did check with mine, it is covered under the town, insurance.
Yeah, it's covered if you pay, and my question is, I guess, I didn't ask it right, does this add to the premium? Because how can it be covered now? We don't have a dog park.
Dogs that break and kill.
Yeah, that's true.
To circle back to make sure it won't increase the premium, but I don't think that was, part of the combo, but I'd be happy to double check.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's because it's going to come up at town meeting.
Yeah.
Nope, it's always good to know, good to ask, Claire. Okay, was that it for you?
Yeah, I think I've done asked enough tonight.
Awesome, Grant?
I also feel like I've asked enough tonight. This one is just more for the committee, not for rec. In terms of the time, I just want this, just noting that the September 1st meeting, I think, falls after our internal, don't we have an end of August deadline for approving projects? So I just thought I'd note that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to hold up anything or not, but
We
yeah,
do.
just I was out there.
Sorry, Grant.
Yeah.
We do, and we talked about it at our last meeting. We asked Freddie what, where is the wiggle room end completely? I mean, we're shooting for in August 30th, but there is a little
Sure.
bit of wiggle room in there, so. And we'll be having a meeting after the 1st anyway, before the 15th, so.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
Okay, so I think that's it. Is there anybody in the audience that has their hand raised before we?
One final thing.
Mrs. Fanick, please come and sit. No, we have to hear you on the thing. I'm sorry, Bonnie. You can go to, I think either one. Terry, does either mic work? Yes, you can go wherever you're comfortable.
Just three simple questions. Will we see the rules and regulations on September 1st for the use of the park? That would be helpful. And the second thing, who's the responsible party in town for the use of that dog park? Who do they call?
Christina?
If there's an issue with the dog park,
If there's an issue if dogs are outside the park or whatever issue, who during the day would the citizens call, and will that number be posted?
I'm going to refrain from answering it just so we have
All
the chance to. I know what my hunch is.
No, I'm
to say,
I'm asking
yeah.
it so that you'll be prepared to answer
Sure,
it.
no, I
All right,
appreciate
it's a
that.
heads up. And the other
Yeah.
thing you might want to check, it's been a long time since I've read it, the dog officer's contract with the town, the responsibilities in that. I think somebody needs to see if that's gonna be included, if there's an additional fee. And I don't know how you're gonna monitor outside residents other than charge a fee so that they have some identification that they are not a resident.
I can say that we had not considered a fee. We of course had talked about the fact that that's a key thing with the parking that people are concerned about in terms of will that be attracting, additional outside
I think
parties.
I think Northborough Hudson might be charging a fee for non-residents.
Okay,
So-
so we,
That-
I mean, yeah, it's,
No,
It's
I don't
fine.
need an answer, I'm just saying you may want to
Okay.
look into that, it could come up.
Bonnie,
Okay.
would you mind saying your name and address for the
I'm
record for the
sorry,
minute taker?
it's
Sorry.
Bonnie Fan of 179 Middle Road,
Thank you.
and I don't have a dog.
thank you for your comments. Appreciate that.
Freddie, go ahead.
I'm afraid of them.
So you brought up the planning board, and I just had a question for CPC's process, site plan review.
Mhm.
Are you going to need that finalized, because could it change what they're doing, and does that need to be done before you approve the project and get a warrant article written, and are you looking at the timeline on how to make that happen?
So, we didn't get that far. Again, it was a very
Bringing
brief
it up
and
as a-
general discussion. No, Karina and I are going back to this discussion, just, I couldn't
I'm
do it
not saying
today.
you know it,
Well, I'm just
but
saying, we're gonna have to know. It's
you're
come
gonna
from
have to
planning
know,
board,
and the,
so, but I can't answer it
rec
today.
needs to be aware that this may be fast tracking, and you need to be aware of what you have to supply for a site plan review.
Right.
Once it's, you don't know which one it is, but, there may be documents that are different from what you're supplying to CPC.
Right. So I'd asked Travis to reach out to Karina. That's the quickest and smartest way to go down the path, is for him to have a conversation with Karina. If she's aware of the site plan, she can give him any information that he needs.
Right.
And you can even discuss the project. And again, it was a brief discussion today, because I had a question. so.
My point is, though, that for permitting for the committee to know, do you need that upfront?
Well, and he should be able to get an answer from Karina on that as well. When they need to permit this. Am I missing what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm thinking of it, it's the CPC's, like if you need, like for the golf, they need to go in front of conservation for a new permit for the
Mhm.
changes. And you're looking for that before you change the cost or change other things in the project. So, being standardized, is that something that needs to be done beforehand? You just need to be thinking about it,
Right, okay.
not necessarily.
And
Go ahead, Grant.
I was just gonna, if I can, that's something that I'm curious about what we've done previously. I could be wrong, but I believe that we mainly in the application seek, we want to know what permits they will, that will be required, but I don't believe we've actually required all those permits in place by time of approval. Like, for example, when
We
the
never
golf course one, we knew that they would have to go to Concom, but we didn't actually require like the Concom signed off on it before we approved it. So we kind of wanted to know that it would require that review, but again, I'm just trying to think of what we've done previously, but I'm curious if that wasn't the case with other projects, or, you know, what the standard should be going forward.
Yeah, I don't recall ever doing that for any of the rec items either, but of course, you know, we could put in language that, you know, we're not gonna, if there was a major change, right, as a result of the site plan review, yeah, I don't think at that point, I think at some point we would need to go back, right, to the town, depending on what that is, if that's the main concern there. But to your point, Grant, it would be, if there's a process that needs to be followed, let's make sure we're following it.
Right, and you can condition it as well.
Right.
Again, I don't know if, I don't remember it being, an issue with any other projects that we've gone through process. I could be wrong, so.
Yeah, it could be just
Well, it's
thinking
a
up
good point,
problems that
Fran.
aren't problems, you know?
So, I'll have, Travis, you talk to Karina, I'll speak to Karina as well. Once we have some general information, we'll get it in the Dropbox for everybody, we'll at least have it for the next meeting. Okay? Okay, that's it for that piece. Travis, thank you, we'll let you know when the next meeting is, and I will send out the list to you and Kristen at some point tomorrow.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
All right, where do we stand on signs? How much time do you think
Okay.
we need? Katie's got a 25-minute cutoff.
Okay.
And we still have to do minutes, so.
Yes.
40 minutes, I have.
Okay. One thing I would love to do tonight, so I can stop carrying these things around
Oh,
in my car.
come on. Don't the kids use them as like tables to
I
draw
would have to
on?
give them back to Signorama. So for our outdoor signs, we have some size options.
Okay.
And so this is basically any of our PVC signs. So I guess they could be indoors as appropriate.
Yeah.
But they are very, very similar in price from Signorama. They're both right around $100. And so for our immediate projects that are likely ready for these, it's rec projects at there's the volleyball court, the basketball court, but I think, well, so I'm looking back at Grant's notes, and so I think a couple of these you flagged, Grant, as kind of waiting until after we know what's happening at Fay Memorial Park. So I think it's just the Mooney Field lights and the sand volleyball court. And so, Kristen, I don't know if Rec has had a chance to talk more about the location of these signs, which I think would help determine the size, but also that's, you know, what CPC thinks about that.
Yeah, so in terms of the volleyball, court and the Richardson, I think we totally agreed, we want to put it on the fence. That obviously makes the most sense on the left-hand corner there. We were going to just kind of wait and see what the final wording of the library one was, and then just adjust accordingly for that sign for, well, two signs, I should say. Well, yeah, two signs for the Richardson and the volleyball court. In terms of Mooney, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go back and look. I don't know that we agreed on Mooney because a lot depends on the final school decisions. Once we can sit, we wouldn't want to, I don't think, do the permanent sign until the final decision is made that, like, we're not touching, for example, those fields as part of the school renovation or whatever we end up doing with the schools. So I think we would want to do a temporary sign there, and I'm sorry, I don't think we made a final decision because we obviously need to talk to Little League as well about that. They kind of, they do quite a bit with that property. They do a lot of maintenance, so, we would want to involve them in that. So I'm sorry, we have not had that discussion, but we can move forward. Ellen, I can work with you to finish off both Richardson and the Mooney Lights and get that off our list and closed out. If everyone's comfortable with that. Again, we just wanted to follow in the footsteps of the verbiage of whatever the library decided. And per our last discussion about, residents versus the taxpayers, et cetera, we don't need to go back to that. So if everyone's okay with that, we will finalize, move forward, and then work with Freddie, hopefully, to close those off.
Yeah, I guess my initial reaction, yeah, so thank you. I think that is a good plan for the volleyball court. I feel like the school decision has such an unknown timeline, and you know, we're talking about $100 for a sign to close out this project. I don't remember how much is left. I mean, so it's on here. It's about a little over $6,000, and so I think that's a relatively significant amount that would be coming back. And so.
Well, again, that'll go on fencing there too. It's literally just a matter of agreeing, you know, to see if Little League has a preference. So if everyone's comfortable, again, we could finish that off, Ellen, I think, between ourselves and get that done as well.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So the $100, that's for the sign?
Yep.
Not for, there's going to be some way of placing it in the ground?
Well, so if Kristen's saying they're being installed on the fence, so the signs would
Not for the moving field, right? Is that a fence?
That would be fence as well. Because you don't want to put anything, you know, especially there where people are running around, you're not going to have to stand alone.
So, for your point about it being the school or whatever, if it's on the fence and then just have to move it down the fence a ways, I mean, that's not a...
Yeah, exactly. That was my only consideration, but to Ellen's point, like, you know, that's so far away at this point.
Okay, so perfect. So I can put the two. So the other project you mentioned, Kristen. Sorry, the Richardson. Is that what? I'm just
Richardson tennis court lights.
Tennis court.
So
Okay.
that's the nearing tennis court.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Great. So I can send you what we have in the spreadsheet. That's Grant's kind of modified wording. And I can show you library signs are ordered, so I can show that to everyone tonight. So I think if people are comfortable, if I work with Kristen on the wording, are we comfortable picking a size or having a CPC recommended size for these signs? Because we have these two options before us.
So what are the option size for us? So seeing as it's going on a fence at a ball field, how is it in relation to the other signs, vinyl and whatnot that are on the fence? I think CPC with the investment that was made should be a standout sign. It should be recognizable, at least in comparison to the other signs.
Sure.
So, again, I haven't seen the other signs, okay, you probably do with baseball. On the fence down there, are either of these comparable to the signs that are hanging up down there?
I think they're more bigger.
The
So you can
signs
see them
hanging up are bigger?
Yeah, so you can see them from far away as well. So I would say
Okay.
bigger is better when it comes to.
Is that big enough when there's other signs on the...
Well, that's what my question is this going to shrink in comparison to some of the other signs that are hanging up? Now, remember back to, isn't there a sign, Kristen, down there for Brian Schiffrin? It may not be there anymore.
I think there is.
Isn't there, but what size is that? So.
I don't know, I can go look tomorrow morning though, because there's a
I don't mean to
couple,
throw monkey wrenches in, but I don't want a little CPC sign in comparison to, you know, other signs that are up that are representing other things. I just think it needs to be comparable to what's up there, that's all. Doesn't have to be larger, but just.
Lisa, that's actually a really good point, especially over at baseball, where there are, you know, you have all your sponsor signs that are going around, and it's a fair point, and so I'll take that into consideration and make sure if everyone's happy with it.
I'm happy to put them in my car for now. Again, I didn't think of it in relation to that. I worry that a lot of what takes place for baseball wouldn't take place without the lights and the citizens made a big investment in doing that. So that's all. Sorry.
My other question, I think that's a good idea to see how it compares to comparison. Didn't we approve a Trails Committee sign or some other recent sign? What size were those in relation to the ones that you have there in your hand? Ellen, were those
Trails
So I
Committee
know
will
we
put
have
off.
plaques at the library, which were smaller.
Yeah, so I think the only thing we've put into production is the library signs, which are both
Oh, is that it? Okay.
smaller.
Trails, because the first project was only minuscule, that you decided to wait till the bigger project was done and have
Oh,
not have another little sign, you know.
okay, sorry about that. And then, yeah, and then the library ones aren't really comparable because they were inside and, yeah, in the buildings. Okay, thank you.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because it always seems at the end of the meeting, sign kind of just doesn't get the attention maybe it should. Why, does it make sense for us to consider a Zoom meeting only for signs? Just to try to get some of this stuff resolved. You know, Kristen, if you can look at this, maybe we can get this resolved. The other recreation piece resolved. I will talk to, and I know I dropped the ball on this, the fire chief, now that we have the mock-up
Yep.
of the bronze sign, I will talk to him this week about the fire memorial.
Yep.
You know, just to make sure that he's good with that as well. So, does it make sense? I know we don't wanna like schedule a million meetings, but I just feel like we're not, we talk about wanting to close it out, and I harped on this for a long time, and now you're doing all the work, and it's like, oh, well, you know.
Yeah, I think that might be helpful because, yeah, we obviously want to give time at the beginning of the meeting for all the project proponents who are coming in. So I think, yeah, if we schedule that, giving everyone and all the various committees enough time to
Yeah.
talk through this language, and so I can go through and, I mean, Grant, probably not to you since you wrote this language for historical, but to the other, to rec, to the ones you had mentioned talking to, we kind of tagged who was going to be connecting on each one of these projects, send that out to you, the global you.
Yeah.
Everyone can check in with those committees, hopefully get sign off on that language.
Yeah.
Library has, I can show you those too. It has gone through with the residents' language. We have mock-ups from Signorama, we have mock-ups from Franklin Bronze now. So I think if we can get each of the groups to commit to language, we
So,
can then come back together.
time frame wise, in order to get this out and give everybody time, does it make sense to look towards September at this point? August is tough,
Yeah.
but again, we're trying to schedule around vacations, and does it make sense, or do you think that's too late? Again, you know, you've coordinated all this, you spent a ton of time, you guys have, on this. So, I don't wanna disrespect the time that you've put in, but you tell me what you think would be enough time. If you think it's 2 weeks, then it's 2 weeks, we'll just, you know, zip and zoom. Or if you think it makes more sense, you know, the first week in September, you know, when everybody's back, and,
Yep.
you know, so give me your
Yeah,
thoughts.
thank you. I think September makes sense, and that, you know, hopefully gives enough time. I don't know when rec and historical are scheduled to meet again, but to have this on those agendas, you know, and again, we've had many meetings talking about this, so I don't know if one meeting is gonna be enough for all of the committees to sign up on this language. Hopefully it is, but even if we get a few more that we can sign off on in September, we'll just keep things moving forward.
So maybe it makes sense then, as we all work towards this, we shoot Ellen a note, letting her know where we're at from our groups and our boards and committees, and then you decide when you think.
Sure.
You know, if is the beginning of September, maybe you'll find, oh, we're close, but another week or two might make more of a difference.
Yeah.
So why don't we all take a look at the list, look over the ones we're supposed to work with the committees, and then maybe by September 1st, shoot Ellen a note, let her know kind of where we all stand, and then, does that make sense? And
Yeah.
we'll go from there. I just
That
feel
sounds
like we
great.
get slighted every time we're putting in all this time and energy.
Yeah, it makes sense to have this on the agenda where it is. And just,
Keep going.
I was just gonna say, I can also follow up with Signorama and get a quote for the next biggest sign, or 2 next biggest signs, just so we have.
If
more
Kristen's gonna
options.
look tomorrow,
Yeah,
Bring a measuring tape.
yeah, just bring
Yeah.
a tape and give, and Grant, I'm gonna come back to you, give me 1 second. You know,
Sure.
give you an idea of what's kind of down there, and then, you know, we may have to go.
Yeah, I'll take some pictures and I'll measure them and make sure we,
Okay.
and then I'll maybe circle its trusted spot.
Okay,
thank you.
all right, Grant, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just want to say, I think that's a good plan. If it's useful, So I edited the product sign spreadsheet prior to last meeting. I had recommended wording that I thought would work based on warrant articles. For most of them, some of them, had, things going on with them, like we don't want to put up a golf course sign yet, pending the new application, stuff like that. I also added notes about, just my notes, doesn't mean that they're correct, but just notes about things that we might want to consider. And then I also added the links to all the different, to the warrant articles themselves. If you guys want to look at them, they're all in there as well for,
Where is this document, Grant? Is it in the Dropbox?
Yep.
It is, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Just want to be sure, because I'll carry it over.
What's the name?
Project signs underscore
Spreadsheet.
GF
And
underscore edits.
I'll create the new Dropbox tomorrow, and I'll put this in it. So, and I'll send out the link, and as we populate the Dropbox with whatever, we can at least get that in there. So,
Great.
that's fine.
And yeah, I don't have to pull them up now, but also in the Dropbox, if people want to see, are the proofs for the 2 library signs that are in production, and then there are also,
I think I put the bronze one. in there.
yes, thank you, there's a quote from Franklin Bronze and a mock-up that's just some temporary language we put in just about the old burial ground, so just so we can see what those look like. If we want to go with Franklin Bronze for those, we can also talk to them too. Yeah, they look very nice. Yeah, so people can check those out, and yeah, I think this is it.
Do you want to just share
Sure.
the bronze ones to the screen for anybody at home that's watching, that's heard us talk about signs a lot? It's nice to see that product. I very much thought it was awesome. So, okay, so we'll let you do that. And was that it for signs for now?
I think so. But yeah, thank you everybody for your patience with this process. We have
No.
2 signs that will be going up at the library, so.
Thank you for being
Small
patient
victories.
with us.
Yeah, I don't know that we made it too easy for you.
And I
So,
know,
thank
really,
you.
I mean, nothing's easy.
Yeah.
So, we'll just show those quick. I think they look great.
Be as slow as possible.
There we go. I think those look great.
These are sharp.
Yeah, that's really good with the town.
Yeah, seal on it, so, great job on that. So,
I had a question, if
Yeah.
I may.
yeah, okay, we have 7 minutes, we'll be,
The,
7 minutes.
I can talk offline because I got invoices.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
And
from
it's-
Franklin Bronze or from?
No.
No, from Trophy?
Okay, from Crown, yeah.
Yeah. Did you get the signs?
I don't know yet. All I heard was that
So
they were going.
read the email, we'll talk offline.
Okay, talk,
Because, but for anyone doing signage or doing invoices, you need to check in with me on what's needed to, just an invoice
Process.
doesn't cut it,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so I want to do, in the short time we have, I want to do the,
Don't rush,
sorry,
I got wiggle room, so I don't wanna rush you at all.
you what?
I got wiggle room, we don't have to.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's good, it's good. So if we could just pull up the minutes from 5/11, if there's any minutes that we have to do, it's those. Those got missed on the 6/11 meeting, so, if we could just pull those up on screen. Thank you.
Wait, 5/11 or 5/20?
Oh, I don't know, what's something like that?
5:20.
It was 5 something, sorry. I was guessing,
Okay.
I was guessing 5/11, I was thinking of June 11th when I said it, so. Okay. So, are those your edits, Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, so Ellen is in the red. I went through them as well. I didn't. I don't think I had anything else on that. Does anyone have any other, changes other than what Ellen is showing on the screen? There was one set of minutes.
Yeah, Mr. Foley is still in there.
Oh, that's a good catch, yeah. Line 27.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Is there any other?
I think, you know what, you might wanna just do a search for Foley,
Yeah.
through it, just to see. Yeah, there's a few of them in there.
perfect, and Sue will be listening to this anyway, so, I think that was the only one I had on those minutes. Is there
Now
any?
we have Mr. Double Farley.
I know. Okay, did anybody else have anything else on these minutes? Hearing none. Grant, would you like to,
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 20th, or the CPC meeting minutes of May 20th, 2026,
as
as
amended?
amended.
Perfect, is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Lisa, aye.
Ellen, I.
Katie, aye.
Grant,
Aye.
Kristen,
I,
and Claire.
Aye.
Okay, so, okay, why don't we just pull up the 7:21 minutes to quickly while we, I did have one other thing on these minutes, and same with the following.
Yep.
So, on line, I gotta get to it again, sorry. Blinking, on line 127, it should be blinking light, not blinking lot. Yeah, 127. Wait a minute, am I in the wrong, I'm in 721,
Yeah.
26. I have it as line 127. We spoke about it, those are different, why do,
That's here, but that's straight.
I have, that's really strange.
I have 127, is that what I mean?
Yeah, the blinking light,
Yeah,
yeah, that's weird.
It's weird.
Okay,
Oh, well, actually, no, I know why, because I added
Oh.
this at the beginning,
okay,
so that added 2 lines.
okay, sorry.
No,
So that was the only other thing I had, other
Right.
than Mr. Farley,
yes.
so.
I added a couple of edits recently, which none of you probably saw. So on line 225 to 30, I had a few which are in there, I believe.
Okay, yep, in the blue, yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
perfect.
And then I had, I think, one more down at the very end, 306. So that's in there as well.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. Any other edits on those? Hearing none. Grant, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. And these were great minutes. I know there was like a lot going on, so I just wanted to say that. I make a motion to approve, sorry, I don't have the date, the July 21st, 2026 CPC meeting minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Katie seconds. Okay, all in favor. Lisa, yes.
Ellen, yes?
Katie, yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Kristen,
yes.
and Claire.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, last up is set our next meeting date. So, I'm probably more flexible with vacations and whatnot. Let's see, I know Freddie, you had some dates too, that you're unavailable. Mostly. Let me pull that up quick, take a picture of that, just so we can toss out some dates here.
Can I throw out two right away?
Yeah,
The purpose of this is to get final
hopefully final review.
from
I was
everyone,
gonna say
and
hopefully.
people said they needed a few weeks. Did I hear that correctly? How long, how many? Is the 24th or 25th going too late, or?
I'm gone the 15th to the 22nd, so.
Okay, so that's,
Takes care of that.
that takes care of that, so we would be looking at potentially,
And I'm only available the 24th and 25th.
okay, what's everyone's
August.
schedule, the 24th and 25th then? That makes that easy. And I know, isn't school starting
The following week.
the following, okay. So,
I'm free for both. Is that just in terms of our timing, is that too late if we need to approve applications by, well, it's not gonna be end of August, we said, so
right,
it sounds like that's
we're still gonna say
Still-
the end of August, but yeah.
still good on our timeline.
Yes, I think so, Grant. Because if we need to schedule
Okay, then-
one more, we can,
And I'm going to
Yeah.
after Labor Day.
right, no, that's fine for me, so,
Okay.
okay.
And I'll write the warrant articles then. I'll start drafting.
Kristen, your availability 24th, 25th, what do you prefer?
I don't have a preference right now.
Okay, Claire, do you have a preference?
No,
Okay, Ellen,
I don't think so.
Katie?
I prefer the 25th, but
Okay,
I can
there we
make the
go.
24th work.
25th it is then.
Is that a select board meeting night?
No, they're not meeting till the 1st of September.
Okay, just so that it wouldn't conflict with
Nope,
anyone
okay.
having to go there.
So when I shoot the notes out to everybody, I will do that, and,
Lisa, just one quick question.
Sure.
Since September 1st, a lot of these, or maybe it's just really recreation, it's gonna be discussed with the Board of Selectmen.
yep,
Would we have a quorum there, something that you have to post a meeting for, or will it just be those involved with recreation?
You know what, Claire, I think that's a good point. I will post a meeting just in case. We can always have no quorum, but actually that does make sense in case some of us
Yeah.
show up. That's a very good point, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, that being said, I think we are all set for tonight. Grant? Do we
Make a
have,
motion to adjourn.
thank you, is there a second?
Second,
Katie seconds, all in favor. Lisa, yes.
Ellen, yes.
Katie, yes?
Kristen?
Yeah.
Grant?
Yes?
Claire?
Yes.
All right, guys, enjoy the next couple weeks. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Good night, everybody.
Yep. Aye.
Yeah, bye.
Recording
All
stopped.
right, Katie, that was 1 minute.
No,
One
thank
minute.
you. Thank you.